Hello, this is Mr. Lavelle. I'm going to teach you how to create your own game today. And you need to think about obviously several things when you're playing a game. You need to think about how to win, you need to think about how to lose, and you also need to think about how to control your sprite. So that's what we're going to focus on this lesson. I'm going to show you two ways that you can do that. Okay. So the first way is with conventional keys on your Chromebook. Now, the keys that I like to use when I'm playing a game are arrow keys because I can automatically see what's left, what's right, up and down, okay? So you can see on the screen that I've already started this process. The blocks I've used are from the events block, so when space key pressed. And what I've done is I've changed it. I've changed it to go down, okay? The next block I need is what direction is my sprite going to point into? And if I click on this one, you can see that there's right, there's left, there's up, and then there's down as well. If I'm pressing the down arrow, I want my sprite to go down. I need to move him 10 steps, because obviously you need to move the sprite as well. And you need to set this as well, set rotation style. If I take that off and I press down, you can see that nothing happens because that's typical. But what might happen is that he might end up looking as if he's walking down a building. Okay, so you might end up turning to face downwards. So in this case, he's not, he's doing okay, he's staying like that. All right, so now that I've got my down travel, I also need, if I press up or left or right, nothing's happening. So I need to duplicate this so that I have now 4 controls, and I need to change them all to make him go up, left and right. If I change this one to up, I obviously need to change the direction he's going to up as well. So now, if I press up, he's going to go up, and if I press down, he's going to go down. Okay? Same with these two. Change this one to go right, change this one to go left. And don't forget that you also need to change the direction they're pointing in. So give this a go. I'll come back to you when you're all finished. So, welcome back. So the next part of the lesson, you're going to find out a different way to control your sprite, okay? So you can see that I've chosen a new sprite, the ballerina. I think you need a lot of control and poise for this type of movement if you're playing a game. And rather than, unlike my cat sprite, that when we're going to be using the keys, we're going to be using the mouse. You're going to be using your tracker pad, okay? And the way that you do that is, if I go to the ballerina, I'm going to use the when green flag clicked block. And I'm going to click on this one here, which says go to mouse pointer. Now, when I click on the green flag, you can see that she started off by going to the mouse pointer. But she's only done that once. So what I need to do is I need to go to my control and forever use that block. Because now when I press the green flag, you can see that she travels around with the mouse pointer. She will always go to where the mouse pointer goes. And that's going to put us in quite good stead for when we're creating our own game. Okay? So just give that a go and see which one you prefer. Do you prefer the ballerina or do you prefer the cat going up and down, left and right? Give that a go and see what you think. Okay, so we can now control our 2 sprites in very different ways. We've obviously got the tracker and we've got our keys. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to utilize both of these, and we now need to start thinking about making this game difficult, easy, and we need to think about winning and losing. Okay, so the way we're going to do that is, I'm just going to turn her off, or she's going to drive me up the wall. The way that we're going to do that is we're going to go to our backdrop, okay, and click on the backdrop here. What you need to do now is 2 things. The first thing you need to do is if you go to the paint can, you need to fill it with a colour. It doesn't matter what colour you choose. It just needs to be one colour, okay? So I'm going to just choose red and put that in like that. The next thing you need to do is with your paintbrush, you need to choose a different colour. So I'm going to choose, let me see, I quite like this. Follow the yellow brick road, golden, something like that. And I'm going to just adjust the width. Now, that at the minute, if you can see my little circle, it's too small. And the reason why is I'll tell you in a bit, in terms of it to do with the size of your sprite. So you need to make it a little bit bigger. Okay? Again, you might need to make it possibly a bit wider. That's pretty good. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sort of make a little like road. So I'm going to just drag it this way, and I'm going to make sure that I go down. Make sure that there's a little gap of red in between your road, like this. And I'm going to come down all the way to the bottom here. Okay, so you can now see that that has actually appeared on my screen as well. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our scripts and click on my sprite again, and we're going to use this block here, if then block. An if then block is really useful because it gives the computer a set of instructions to follow. If something happens, then this is what's going to happen as a result of that. Okay, now what we need to think about is the size of our sprite. So you can see here, there's two here. This one will make my sprite grow if I click on him. And this one will make him go smaller. Now this one's the one you want because you want to make sure that your sprite fits in to the path that you've just drawn. So I'm going to come off there, okay? And I'm going to drag the sprite there. Now you can see that you need to make sure that all along that the sprite can fit, but you don't want to make him too small, otherwise the game will be too easy. Okay, so let's just move him, start him there. Okay, so I'm going to use my when flag clicks block. So when my green flag is clicked, I'm going to put in a touch sensor block here. And if in sensing, we need to use the if touching color like this. Okay, so I'm going to click on this, and the most important thing you can do is click on the red. So this is the part where if we touch this, then something bad will happen. We'll either lose or have to start again or something like that. So at the minute I've got forever. If touching the red block, then what's going to happen? Well, we can do something along the lines of, say, you are really rubbish at this game, just like Miss Ray. Brilliant. So now let's give that a go. So I'm going to click on my green flag and I'm going to move, and if I touch the red, oh no, look at that, I'm really rubbish at this game. So let's go back off the red, let's go this way. For some reason my computer is glitching. Okay, and we've done it again. Now I think what we might need to do is we might need to just make him a little bit smaller because at the minute he is a little tiny bit too big, so it doesn't give us an awful lot of room for maneuver. Okay, so now let's just give this a go. Yeah, it's a little bit easier to control. So it should be off the red. There we go, if we move forward a bit. So that's slightly better. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to now draw me a path like we did, use the touching color sensor and create something similar to this. What I would also add to this is I would use your coordinate skills, and if he touches the red, then I want him to go back right to the beginning. Even if he's down here and touches the red, I want him to go back here. Now, I need to be very careful here because, oops, come back, thank you. And that's it, just moving back one more. So I need to see where my cursor is, and if you can see where my cat is there, just at the bottom of this screen, we've got X and Y coordinates, and that is where we're going to send our cat back to. So if I just click on there, you can see that it's negative 211 and 131. So it's negative 211, 131. So now, if we make a mistake, oops. Now let's see, will he go back? Yes, he will. Okay, so that's what's going to happen if you quote unquote lose or something, you know, touching the part of the screen that you shouldn't touch. Okay, give that a go first. I'll come back to you in a wee while. All right, so we've got to the stage where you're touching colour and something bad happens. What we now need to do is think, how's our game going to finish? Okay, how are we going to know that we've won? So we're going to be using this algorithm bit of programming here as well, and I'm going to duplicate this like so. What I need to do is I also then need to go back to my backdrop, and we know that we're starting up here where my cat is. What we're going to do is, after we've gone all the way through the path, I need another colour, and this time I'm going to choose blue. Now, be careful with this one because you don't want it too big. That should be about right. And here, you can see I'm just colouring in a blue line, like so, and just very carefully colouring it in like this. So that's kind of what you're aiming for, that's your goal. Okay, so I'm then going to go back to my sprite, and you can say now it's appeared here. So what I'm going to do is, if we end up touching this blue colour, we're not rubbish, we've actually won. Hooray, well done, Miss Brockis, Miss Diaz, I think I spelled that right, and Miss Harrington, Miss H, are really proud of you. Good stuff. So, I'm now just going to test this out to see if that works. So remember, I'm going to press the green flag. I'm going to go down, see if I can actually... Now, unfortunately, last time my game actually collapsed, so I've had to reprogram it, hence why it didn't go back to the beginning. So all I need to do is just put the go back there, and this was... Oh, that should work actually. Let's give it a try then. So, ready? No. Hopefully he'll go back. He will. Now, at the minute again, remember the last time I said about my cat's probably a bit too big, so I just want to shrink him down a tiny bit, just so that I can actually have a go at making the course without touching the red. So this is where we go like this. Be careful with the corners. The corners are going to be the most difficult bit. Right, let's see if that works. Ooh, it's tense. Yeah. Oh, nuts. Right, anyway, I'm going to cheat. So basically, I'm going to drag mine here. Because, yeah, I'm going to have a bit of cheat. And then hopefully, hooray! Well done, Miss Brockis, Miss Diaz, Miss H. Are really proud of you. Fantastic. We can also, if you wanted to, add a sound if my computer will stop glitching. Okay, it's saving the changes. Good. So I could play a sound. Let me choose this one. Play sound until done, because that will only do it once. If we go to sounds, and we can choose a sound from the library, you can choose something that is something maybe like a cheer. And I'm going to choose the cheer. Okay, and then when I go back to my scripts, I'm going to choose cheer. So now, if I just take my headphones out, if I move them all the way down to here again. Oh, press green flag, sorry. So I've gone down. That sound wasn't meant to happen, but you get the idea anyway. It's brilliant when technology works, and it's even better when it doesn't, because it makes me look like a bit of a plank. Okay, so that's what you're going to do today. You're going to choose a different colour for the end of your path, and you're going to work it all the way down. And also, by working it all the way down, you're actually testing it. You're testing it for bugs. You're testing to see if it actually is possible to get him down. If you're constantly stuck at the same point, you might need to shrink him a little bit as well. Good luck, give it a go, and I'll speak to you in a bit. Okay, so welcome back. This is probably going to be one of the last ones that I do for you, last screencasts, because your game is all but ready to go. Okay, so you'll see on the screen that I've added another sprite, and it's a bat. And I just want to add an extra level of difficulty, so it's not just good enough to make the cat go all the way through here like so. Okay, back he goes. I've added a bat. Now you can see from the code that when the flag is clicked, he's forever, and then he's going to use 2 glide blocks, and you can find these both in motion just here. And the glide block, what it does is if I press green flag, it makes him glide like so. Okay, so you can see him moving up and down. Now you can probably guess that the cat is not allowed to touch the bat. Okay, so I've added this programming, but I've also, to my sprite over here, added another if then else block as well. Now this time, if he touches the bat, again, he's going to say something like, "You're rubbish at this game." I might just change that to make it a bit different. So I'm going to say, "Ooh, bad luck," or something like that. You can be as creative as you want to be. Okay. So I'm just going to press stop, press green flag. Okay. Now when I try and go past him, oh, got caught. Oh, bad luck. What's going to happen? We're going to go back because over here it says go back to the blocks. Now all I did for that was just to duplicate the one where if I'm touching the red one, I also lost at the game as well. Okay. If the bat is going too quickly, if we go back to the bat, you can see that I've got him gliding for 1 second. You might want to change that to 2 seconds. And you can see now that he's going a little bit slower. Or if that's still too difficult, you might want to go for 3 seconds. Okay, so now when I go up to him here, oh, that's much easier. Now the difficult part is going to come when, oh, see, it adds that extra challenge because the pressure on you to try and get round it without touching the bat is just that much more difficult. Is he going to touch? Ah, I went too close. Okay, so you get the idea. Okay, so now it's your turn to add an extra couple of guards. You might, for example, want to add one like this, but you could also add another one here. Okay, you could have them going across the screen like that, using these X and Y coordinates. So use your knowledge of coordinates again. Okay, think about it maybe drifting that way, drifting up and down. Okay, before you add too many, just make sure that you're aware that you've still got to try and complete the game. Okay, fantastic. Good luck. And let me know how it goes. Okay, so this is the last video I'm going to do. And this is really, if you finish all of that that I've set you before, this is a real difficult challenge now because you're using something called a variable. Okay, what I've done is I've produced a little bit more programming over here in this corner, and I'll explain what that programming does. If you look at data, block, it says for you to create a variable. Now a variable is something that changes, or you can change, or that you want to change in order for something else to happen. Okay, now you can see that the variable I've made is timer. Now obviously you can see in the corner here that timer is to do with time. So for example, I'm going to now set myself an even more difficult challenge of trying to complete the course within a given amount of time. Okay, so again, when the green flag clicked, I'm going to use set timer to 60, because obviously 60 seconds, 1 minute. You could set it for 2 minutes if your course is very hard. You might even want to set it to 30 seconds to make it even more difficult, all right? So then I'm going to repeat this timer at 60. I'm changing it by -1, because if we're changing it by -1, we're obviously reducing the time down to all the way down to 0. Now we need to tell our program that if the timer reaches 0, equals 0, and the way I've done that is using an operator, and it's equals, and then I also grab the little timer tablet here. If the timer equals 0, then you say something like, "Oh no, I've lost," or "Oh gosh darn it," or something like that for 2 seconds, and then we need to stop the game. Okay, now let's see what happens here. So everyone watching the timer, I'm going to press the green flag. Now it's absolutely racing down. That wouldn't give me any chance to do it at all. Shall I see if I can complete it in that time? No, I'm not even past the first corner. Okay, everything stopped. I can't win. Okay, so let's try that again, shall we? So what I need to do is, where it says to change the timer by -1, it's going too quickly. So then I need to add this wait block, and you can see that I got that from control at the top. I'm going to change it by 1 and then wait a second. In theory, what that should do is, yes, it has. It's slowed down the time. So it's now, every time it changes it, it's going to go 1 second, wait, 1 second, wait. So that timer is much more generous now. So I can hopefully try and complete my course in the given time. Oh, and I managed to touch the red anyway. It's the pressure. I can't deal with it. Okay. So I'm going to press stop there. You could, for example, want the timer to go up so that it reaches a certain number. So it might want to reach 60 or 100 or 20 or 30, okay? Your variable might be, instead of timer, you want to reach a certain score. I'm not sure how you can incorporate that, but if you're that way inclined, you might want to research about how to maybe collect tablets, a bit like some games like Pac-Man or something like that, where you're gobbling up things and you're going to reach a certain score. And in fact, if you go over here and it says create, where is it, catch game, that will show you there how to incorporate reaching a certain score within that as well. Okay, so good luck, give it a go, and I'll be coming around to see your games after you've all finished.